Down to four teams in the NBA playoffs, and it is an absolute showdown in both the West and the Eastern Conference. You have the Knicks, who are on absolute fire, 50 years removed from winning their last NBA title. The Cleveland Cavaliers, coming off of game 7 victories in round one and round two. And of course, the two teams in the NBA that are striking fear in everybody, 60-win Oklahoma City, looking to be a back to back champ, and then the San Antonio Spurs, 60 wins for them as well with Victor Wembanyama. This is the Analytixx Sports Pod. I am Emil Asaf here with Ethan Love, Brendan O'Donnell, and Spencer Grant, and we have to get right into the action. The Eastern Conference Finals, at the time of this recording, has already started. We saw one of the biggest collapses in playoff history, modern playoff history, with the Cavaliers losing a 22-point lead. And the question is, can they salvage this series and get James Harden and Donovan Mitchell to their first NBA Finals ever? I'll let you guys start with that before we get into the OKC and San Antonio series. Guys, go for it.
I'm going to keep this brief and throw a couple numbers at you guys because this game absolutely blew my mind. I know James Harden is really struggling year after year to beat the playoff choker allegations, and last night certainly did not help his case.
Yeah.
Teams, when leading by 22 points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game going into last night, were 1 and 594. The Cavs bring that win total to 2.
Man.
um on behalf of the Knicks. Might have flipped that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Blowing a
yeah, yeah.
22-point lead in just under 8 minutes left is an all-time choke job. Hell of a comeback by the Knicks. Jalen Brunson did his thing. Cat, the big purr, imposed his will like he does. The Knicks literally had a 0.1% chance of winning, but would proceed to outscore the Cavs 44-11 the rest of the way, including an 11-0 run in the beginning of overtime. This is the type of loss that can doom a franchise for a very long time. The Cavs were in their title window as we speak, at least the way that their organization is running. You go all in, you go get James Harden, and to have a collapse like that, they're not dead, but it's just hard to see them bouncing back from something this bad.
Yeah, you talk about, the Harden struggles. I'm glad you went there to start off because this postseason, he has 6 games with more turnovers than field
Oh,
goals made in the same game. That number is now up to 32 for his career, which is the third highest in NBA history. And it seems like he is going to be the guy to never win a ring in the NBA. Shooting 41 and 31 in these playoffs. And you have the Knicks coach, Mike Brown, saying, hey, it's no secret. We are hunting him on defense. You hit it right on the head. The Cavaliers are dead. This is a game 1 loss that, even though you can still steal home court by winning game 2, it's the emotional and really detrimental side of choking a game away like this that's going to get the Cavaliers. I fully expect this series to be done in 5 games with the Knicks going to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Emil. But looking back, I just think that whoever wins this series is just going to lose to whoever's on the Western Conference side. I just want to put that
Yeah.
out there fully. But man, Jalen Brunson is a bad man. That dude is crazy. James Harden, I don't know what's going to save the Cavs, but Braun is not here to save them, at least this year.
Mm-mm.
We'll see what happens in the offseason with Braun, but I don't know. I think the Cavs are dead in the water.
If we talked yesterday, I would have fully picked the Cavs over the Knicks. I have been a Knicks non-believer the whole year. Even last year, whenever it was the Knicks versus the Pacers in the conference finals, everyone felt like it was going to be a Knicks sweep, and they got dusted by Tyrese Halliburton. And I felt a similar way this year where the Knicks are on a miracle run and I want to go for the Cavs. And I felt vindicated when there was 8 minutes left and the Cavs were up 21 points. I really thought this is exactly how I saw this playing out. The Cavs are going to destroy the Knicks. It could still go 6 or 7, but they're going to have their moments where they're just going to show that they're a better deep team than the Knicks are, in my opinion. James Harden doesn't have to be the best guy. James Harden can honestly be the 4th best guy on that team, and that's probably for the best. But last night, they lost because of Kenny Atkinson. To not call a single timeout on an 18-1 run is inexcusable. And to not pull out James Harden and put in a defensive unit when you're up 20 is also inexcusable. your offense staled out anyway with James Harden on the court. You pull him off, the offense can still stay stale, but at least you have a better defensive prowess to try to stop one of the most clutch players of our generation, Jalen Brunson. I'm pretty sure he won Clutch Player of the Year last year in the whole NBA, and he's showing why, because he can just put the ball in his hands every single time and carry you the rest of the fourth quarter. I don't think the Cavs are just completely defeated off of this loss. I think if they do lose the series, it's going to be the loss you look back on as they could not recover from it. If they win game 2, I do think that this series can still go down the stretch, and then it's going to go down to the wire. But if they lose game 2, I'm with y'all that I think it's over in 4 or 5, and that game 1 loss is just going to make them feel even more defeated after they go home 0-2.
Yeah. I'll give you some Jalen Brunson facts because he is one of the most clutch players in the NBA. And you're right. He outscored the Cavs 17-11 in the last 7 minutes and overtime by himself. 38 points for him. He is a guy that averages 19 in the regular season, and then that turns into 25 points per game in the playoffs. The Knicks overall are averaging 120 points per game in the playoffs. So maybe we're not giving them a fair shot by saying even if they advance, they're going to get wiped. Or maybe we might be right on. Oklahoma City, San Antonio, we are through 2 games so far at the time of this recording. It's 1-1. Both have been cinematic matchups. What do you guys think is going to be the difference between what looks like the top 2 teams in the NBA? And are we standing on that? Do the New York Knicks or Cleveland Cavaliers, whoever advances, do they have absolutely zero shot?
If it's gonna be Knicks and whoever comes out of the West, I think that I like the Knicks' chances honestly against San Antonio more than I like them against OKC. I was kind of looking back at some of their matchups from this past season. They actually split the series. They only played twice, and if I recall correctly,
they played them in the NBA Cup as well and beat them though. So Knicks actually beat them 2-1, but that game doesn't count towards any sort of regular season.
The official record.
Look up between them.
Correct.
But it still counts in terms of they beat us, man. As a Spurs fan, they beat us in the NBA Cup too.
That's actually really good to know because for whatever reason, like the Spurs played the Thunder pretty well throughout the regular season. The Knicks felt like one of the only teams that really kind of had an answer for what San Antonio had. The first game that they had, I believe it was Christmas Day. Wemby and the Spurs won a nail biter by 2 points. And then the rematch later in this past March, the Knicks ran away with it, and Wemby played. Like, it wasn't a hobbled Spurs team, at least to the degree that it warrants getting blown out by 30. And so the Knicks, I lean toward the Knicks there. And then as far as who's going to make it from the Western Conference, tonight's game kind of hurt to watch a little bit. The Spurs just really couldn't hit anything toward the end of the game there, but it doesn't matter. They stole home court. And while OKC is more than capable of going into San Antonio and winning 1, if not 2 games, I like the Spurs odds. It's not just my OKC bias. I mean, we saw what Wemby did in game 1. I'd like to see a little bit more aggression on defense against Shea. We saw it in game 1. Didn't see it as much tonight. I'm not even going to bring up the officiating. We always know it's going to be questionable, but we've seen how some of the Thunder's so-called best players fold in big games like this. Shea had his most inefficient game of the season, 7 of 24 from the field in game 1. Chet put forth a courageous effort to the tune of 8 points, no assists. He had a timely block toward the end of the game that didn't end up mattering, and he looked lost against essentially a better version of himself in every way. Am I worried after tonight's loss? I just always hate seeing the Thunder win, but no, I'm not worried at all. I think they're going to go back to San Antonio, and they're going to handle up.
I'm gonna give you some numbers that go exactly with what you're saying. OKC now only 2-5 against San Antonio. San Antonio now has 4 losses, only 4 losses since the start of February, with Wemby playing over 20 minutes. Wow. One of those is a 25-point loss to the New York Knicks. Another thing, I think it comes down to how good this superstar is for each team. I think both of these teams are built pretty similarly. We could talk all day about the numbers, but reality is they're the most athletic, best shooting, best defending, best coached teams in the NBA by a mile. But you have a guy in San Antonio that can give you 40 and 20 with 5 blocks and become the youngest player ever to do that in game 1. while shooting a Curry range 3 to tie the game. I don't think
Ugh.
SGA can come anywhere near that level of really rising and taking the ceiling of his team just because he can fully take over that way. So I'm siding with San Antonio as a result of that. Another key factor right now is De'Aaron Fox is coming back. Jalen
Mhm.
Williams, he got hurt, re-injured in game 2. De'Aaron Fox is set to come back, even if Harper ends up being absent for the San Antonio Spurs. And the reason why that's so important is turnovers. The turnover battle has been lost by San Antonio the first 2 games. Despite that, they split 1-1. Specifically, Stephon Castle, 20 turnovers in the first 2 games. Give that ball to De'Aaron Fox. Let Wemby be the guy that elevates this ceiling for the San Antonio Spurs. And I think they go all the way.
Yeah, I think Emil, you hit it right on the head there with De'Aaron Fox. Harper's been good. He was really good in game 1, but
Yeah.
when you get De'Aaron Fox back in there and you can get the ball out of OKC's hands, we saw in game 1 that it didn't really matter because OKC was shooting so bad. But when you give them enough chances on turnovers like that, they're going to eventually make shots. And that ended up being the difference, I think, tonight, too, because OKC was actually hitting shots, especially early. They were on a pretty good heater there. And then you never know when someone like Caruso, who had an insane game 1, is going to go off for them. They have such a deep bench, and that's really probably what's going to carry them to win if they can beat the Spurs. But, you can never count on Wemby.
Tonight was offensive glass too. We saw Hardesty
Mhm.
get 8
Yeah.
offensive rebounds and really use his size against Wemby to box him out and give the shooters for OKC extra chances. Brendan, we know you're a Spurs guy. We'll let
Yeah.
you do the full Spurs takeover. Go for it.
I am almost certain they told Hartenstein, go out there, foul out if you have to. We need you
Yeah.
to just absolutely maul this man. And then when you foul out, we'll just do what we did in game 1. We'll put Caruso under the basket on him with Chet as the help. But they were like,
Yeah.
Hartenstein, you versus Wemby tonight. Maul this man, give him all the energy you can. And he did. And
And he
that
did.
was my
He did.
only gripe with officiating tonight. Honestly, I think they've called it pretty well for game 1 and game 2. But Hardenstein came out looking like he wanted to take everybody out tonight. There's even a clip going around right now of him grabbing Castle by the hair and yanking him down too. I think he should have fouled out in the third quarter, and he somehow survived the whole night after he got 2 fouls in the first, I believe. But y'all are right. It was the turnovers that was the big difference tonight. The Spurs shot better from the field, shot better from the 3 and from the free throw line. But they had 12 more turnovers than the Thunder, which meant the Thunder got 10 more shots than the Spurs. And when you are 2 pretty closely evenly matched teams like this, another team gets 10 more opportunities than you. They don't have to make that many of them to be ahead. I think it's just going to come down to if Harper and Fox can come back and bring these turnovers down. The ball needs to get out of Castle's hand when it gets later into the game. Castle is a good second option as a ball handler, but when he's the only one bringing it down the court, it's not his best prowess. He's really good at driving, but he's not good at bringing the best game out of everybody else around him. He's great at it, but not as good at Fox or what I believe that Harper can become.
It's just more years
whenever we were talking
with
about
experience. Yeah,
exactly. And whenever we were talking about the Knicks, while I am going full Cavs over Knicks, I think the Cavs match up better on the Knicks. It is weird to me how well the Knicks matched up against the Spurs. I can't explain it to you because when I look at it on paper, I really think that it's a great matchup where how is Brunson going to drive with Wemby in the paint? How is Cat going to match up well with really aggressive, tall wings that we have in San Antonio? But they do. I think it really comes down to the Knicks' depth and experience being better than some of our depth's experience. So if the Knicks do make it, I would still pick the Spurs. I think they would figure it out, but it was scary seeing them beat us, how they beat us in the regular season.
Okay, so we're going to go official NBA Finals picks. Are you going Spurs over Knicks? Is this the official pick, or do you still have faith in the Cavs?
Oh, all Spurs. All Spurs, all day, all the way to the end. I don't think I'm even scared of either team in the East as much as the Knicks were better than us in the regular season. I'm very excited to, if it's the Cavs that win, see James Harden in the finals, and I will gladly take the more turnovers than field goals 6 more games in the finals if that's what it comes to.
I don't think we're getting to that point at all. I do agree with you. I think Spurs all the way. I think what's interesting about this potential Knicks series in the finals with what I'm rolling with is I just don't see Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns on a pick and roll being able to score on the combination of Castle and Wemby. And that's what
Mhm.
they've been doing. They've been either running the offense through Cat. He's averaging 6.5 assists this postseason, and that's worked really, really well. Or just doing simple pick and roll with Brunson. With the guys that you have defending those two and how well they're able to switch and guard bigs and smalls, no shot. The Spurs, as long as they hang on to this OKC series, are going on the way. Guys,
I don't want to beat the dead horse, but I'm right there with you, man. As my perfectly unbiased hate will say, the Spurs will take this series in 6 or 7 games. I'll give them that.
okay.
And the Knicks are going to gentleman sweep Cleveland. Cleveland's going to get 1 game for their pride, and it's almost like the Timberwolves a couple years ago against the Mavericks. They won that 1 game. I believe it was game 4, and then just completely folded in game 5. Like, this Cavs
Mhm.
team feels like a team that's just content with not getting swept. So I'm giving that a gentleman sweep. Another thing that I find most interesting about potential Spurs Knicks finals is that this is the first. We said the Knicks haven't won a championship in like 50 years. This is their
Yeah.
first finals appearance since 1999, which would make this a rematch of that finals between San
Yeah.
Antonio and New York. That back in 1999, they went on a miracle run, I believe, as the 8th seed
As I
to
seed.
make the
Yeah.
finals before they obviously lost to San Antonio. And I do think this series would go differently. I don't think it would be a sweep. I think the Knicks certainly push it to at least 6 games, but I'm right there with you, man. I feel like Wemby he's got that look in his eye like all-time greats do. I mean, he's on his way to becoming probably the best player we've ever seen. It's
I agree.
absurd how much, like, if you in a lab design a perfect basketball player, it's Wemby. And when he has that look in his eye, I feel like he's not walking away with this season unless he has a ring.
We were talking about it a little before, but I'm pretty sure that I had said that in one of our most recent episodes. But we'll have to go back and check. But I got the Spurs over the Knicks. When Wemby's
Amazing.
going to enter, he's going to enter GOAT conversations. He just needs the accolades, and he will get them.
That really takes me to, it's very rare for four people to be on the same page about a team as good as OKC. That's the defending champion that had 64 wins, that's breaking records. For us to be such even haters of OKC. So we have to talk about them for a little bit, specifically SGA, because the major debate, which we can get to real quick, is how much are the refs really playing a factor? And is he an overrated player? Now, because I've been throwing so much hate, I have to give props for now. I'll play devil's advocate for now. I think SGA is properly rated. He is an extremely efficient scorer. Back-to-back years with over 30 points per game, shooting at 50 plus, dishing out 6 assists a game, not turning the ball over, all while being a two-way star, a guy that steals 1.5 basketballs per game for almost his entire career and is an all NBA defensive player. And that's exactly the type of guy you want leading your team. Now, what makes him hateable and what makes this team very frustrating to watch is the foul call and is the play style that SGA, as he leans into the contact, as he really exaggerates to get these calls. Now, again, we can go on and on and on about this. I do think SGA deserved the MVP this year. I do think he deserved it last year. But when it's the NBA playoffs and it's time to get physical, I think this is the year where the script flips and he starts not getting those calls. And as a result, this team doesn't go as far.
Emil, I'm gonna shock you right here, and I completely agree with you. I think Shea is properly rated,
Yeah,
and it's not Oklahoma City's fault that this is
it's
happening.
not.
The whistle is not in their mouths; it's in the ref's mouths, and they are blowing the whistle at the end of the day. OKC, while yes, they're exaggerating contact, and it's not just
Mhm.
Shea. We've seen it from a lot of their other players as well. They're just using it to their advantage better than everyone else, and you cannot fault them for that.
Yeah,
This is a big thing with the NBA. They probably need to go and look at the rules and maybe let the guys play a little bit more. People don't really like this type of play,
yeah,
and they take it out on someone like Shea, who's now a two-time MVP, because this is a big part of his game. But you can't win 2 MVPs in a row, and you can't win a finals, and potentially even win a second straight finals in a row without being good at everything that you said, Emil. So
Yeah.
I don't fault SGA for it.
I like that you brought
Go
up
for it.
that it's not the Thunder's fault for leaning into that brand of basketball. I like that you brought that up because really this is a reflection of Adam Silver and the product that he's continuing to put out and allow. It's like it feels like he's trying to force OKC on NBA fan bases. Like, no, this is the team that we're promoting right now, which is weird because typically you would think small market team like Oklahoma City,
Yeah.
like what makes them so marketable? And as much as it pains me to say it, he is properly rated. He's at worst a top 4 player in the world, undisputed. And
Yeah.
my thing with the Thunder, forget about Shea for a second. My problem with Shea and the Thunder is that they are more than good enough to not play the way that they
They
play,
just
and
hoop.
yet they deliberately choose to. And you look at guys like Caruso, Chet, Dort, Hartenstein, all of them. It's like they all lean into that villain role where, yeah, we're going to play how we play, and we're still going to win by 20, and we're still going to drain 50% of our threes in front of you. Try and stop us. And that's what's so mind-numbingly frustrating about watching it, because it's like, yes, Shea, you're Mr. Automatic, like prime Dan Bailey from the mid-range. It's absurd the rate that he hits from the mid-range. And you look at a team like the Lakers, okay, the lovely Lakers of LA. They have the friendliest whistle. How would they get out-whistled by a team like OKC? Refs don't make you lose by 20 consistently. However, what bothered me about that series was just how wildly inconsistent the whistle was. Like, we know Shea's whistle is pretty generous, but it bothered me having to watch the Lakers pick up fouls by playing physical defense while Lou Dort, who I will always single out, was basically
That's
playing
number
tackle
one.
football on the other
Yeah.
side and not getting calls for it. So it's like, they're really good, and it's frustrating as a fan of a team that really doesn't like them, but they don't have to play that way, and they do.
For me, I think both games so far have not been that bad from the officials. In terms of where Shea ranks, I think he's very adequately ranked for today's game. Like y'all were saying, probably top 3 or top 4 in the world. The tough part in my mind is when we start talking about where is he going to slide into all-time rankings. For me, I still want to take a guard like Dwayne Wade over him. I think Shea's already beating this with accolades and such over a guy like Dwayne Wade. And maybe it's more of a personal bias of I just love Dwayne Wade's game better. But even a player like Steve Nash, I really think he's going to fall into the Steve Nash category. I think he's going to be a 2-time MVP where people are going to claim both of his MVPs, he wasn't even the best player in the world. Because when Steve Nash won it, the whole gripe was that Shaq wasn't winning it as what we call the most dominant player to ever play the NBA. And Shaq has 1 MVP because a guy like Steve Nash could steal it over him is insane. In today's game, people truly believed Jokic was better for both of them. You had some diehard fans saying Luka was better. And I think if Wemby had matched his minutes for this season, Wemby probably would have taken the MVP this year. But it came down to more of a minutes argument of Wemby just didn't play the time. As close as their records were towards the end, Wemby, I think, was hundreds of minutes shorter than Shea was. And I think that's a good reason for Shea to win it in the end. He put in the time and minutes for this season. He's this season's MVP.
Yeah, and that's why these playoffs are so significant. It's legacies on the line, whether it ends up being NBA legend James Harden getting his first ring, whether Jalen Brunson cements himself as potentially the greatest New York Knick of all time, which he is inching to it, whether SGA gets out of Dwayne Wade talks and is a back-to-back champion and a back-to-back MVP and gets into Michael Jordan talks potentially, and whether Wembanyama at 22 years old, after being the only unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, gets a ring and starts this GOAT chase. We'll only have to see what happens. The conference finals are going on right now, but we have till June to enjoy the fun of NBA action. And this has been the Analytixx Sports Pod. I am your host, Emil Asaf, Ethan Love, Spencer Grant, Ben O'Donnell. Shout out to Sportscaster, the best sportscasters in the world. Go through Sportscaster for being the sponsor of this podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.